Y'all ever had one of those nights where everything just feels straight up wrong? Like the universe is playing some sick joke on you? Well, grab a beer and settle in, cause what I'm fixin' to tell you will mess with your head so bad, you'll be checking your clocks for weeks. This whole damn thing went down in Portland, Oregon. Yeah, that hipster paradise where everyone's got a man bun and drinks overpriced coffee. But ain't nothing trendy about what happened to Jake Morrison. Jake was your typical blue-collar American, worked with his hands, drank Budweiser, and didn't take crap from nobody. March 12, 2023. Spring forward night. You know the deal. We lose an hour so some bureaucrat can pretend we're saving daylight. What a load of bull, right? Jake had set his beat-up alarm clock for 2:45 a.m. Had to haul his ass to the shop for some emergency job. Rich guy's BMW broke down, and money talks, even at ungodly hours. But when Jake cracked his eyes open, something was seriously jacked up. His ancient digital clock, the same piece of junk he'd had since high school, was stuck at 2:37 a.m. Not just showing the time, mind you, frozen solid, like someone hit pause on the whole damn world. What in the Sam Hill? Jake mumbled, his voice thick with sleep. He rubbed his eyes hard enough to see stars, but those red numbers just kept glowing at him like some demon's eyes. 2:37, not budging one bit. Jake grabbed his phone off the nightstand, same thing. 2:37, the seconds weren't even ticking. His laptop, his kitchen microwave, even his old wristwatch that his granddad gave him, every clock in that house was stuck tighter than bark on a tree. Now, Jake wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but he wasn't no fool either. Something was seriously screwy, and his gut was telling him to get the hell out of Dodge. He stumbled to his bedroom window, still in his ratty boxers and yesterday's t-shirt that smelled like motor oil and regret. What he saw outside made his blood run colder than a witch's kiss. Maple Street looked like a photograph, and not a good one. Mrs. Henderson's porch light, which had been flickering like a dying firefly for months due to some busted wiring, was frozen mid-flicker. The light was caught between on and off, like God himself had hit the pause button. But that wasn't the kicker. Oh no, that wasn't even close. A stray tabby cat, the one that always knocked over his garbage cans, was suspended in mid-stride right in the middle of the street. One paw hanging in the air, tail curved like a question mark, whiskers twitched forward like it was hunting something. Frozen solid as a popsicle. Holy crap on a cracker, Jake whispered, fogging up the window with his breath. And that's when Jake realized he wasn't just awake during the missing hour, he was trapped in it like a fly in amber. But here's what'll really bake your noodle. Was he the only one awake, or was something else stirring in that frozen hellscape? The answer came crawling out of the shadows like a bad hangover on a Sunday morning. Jake threw on his work jeans, the ones with holes in both knees, and his favorite flannel shirt. His hands were shaking worse than a leaf in a tornado as he laced up his steel-toed boots. The silence outside was so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. He stepped onto his front porch, and every footstep sounded like thunder in that dead quiet. The air felt weird too, thick and sticky, like trying to breathe through wet cotton. Jake walked down his driveway, calling out in his best tough guy voice, "Hey, anyone out there? This is some seriously messed up stuff." His words just died in the air, swallowed up by the silence like they never existed. That's when he spotted his neighbors. At first glance, they looked normal as apple pie. There was Tom Martinez from next door, washing his pristine Chevy Silverado like he did every Saturday. The Johnson kid was riding his BMX bike in slow circles in his driveway. Sarah from Murphy's Corner store was sweeping her front steps with that old corn broom of hers. But something was off. Way off. They were all moving like they were swimming through molasses. Super slow, like someone had cranked the world down to half speed. And every single one of them was staring straight at Jake with the kind of intensity that made his skin crawl. "Tom," Jake called out, his voice cracking like he was 13 again. "Tom, buddy, what's going on here?" Tom's head turned toward him with the sound of grinding metal, like someone was operating a rusty winch. His eyes, Jesus Christ, his eyes were wrong. No whites, no pupils, just solid black holes that seemed to suck in all the light around them. Tom's mouth opened wide, too wide, like his jaw had come unhinged, and words poured out in a voice that sounded like it was coming from the bottom of a well. "You weren't supposed to be here, Jake." The hair on Jake's arms stood up like soldiers at attention. He spun around, and now they were all looking at him. The Johnson kid had stopped pedaling, his black eyes boring into Jake's soul. Sarah had dropped her broom, and it was floating in midair, defying gravity. All of them were whispering in that same hollow, echoing voice. "You weren't supposed to be here. You weren't supposed to be here. You weren't supposed to be here. No, hell no. I'm out." Jake bolted like his ass was on fire, running back to his house faster than he'd moved since high school football. His heart was hammering against his ribs like it was trying to bust out. He slammed the front door so hard the whole house shook, then threw every lock he had, the deadbolt, the chain, even the little sliding lock that came with the door. That lot of good it would do against whatever nightmare he'd stumbled into. The clock in his living room still read 2:37, mocking him. Jake grabbed his car keys from the bowl by the door. Maybe he could drive out of this Twilight Zone bowl. But when he looked out his front window, his beat-up Honda was sitting in the driveway like a ghost car. He could see right through it to the cracked concrete beneath. "This ain't real," he muttered, running his hands through his hair. "This is just some screwed-up dream. Too much pizza before bed, that's all." But pizza dreams don't usually come with the sound of fingernails scratching inside your walls. Now here's where things get really twisted, and trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for this part because what Jake discovered next will change everything you think you know about time itself. The scratching started soft, like a mouse in the walls. But mice don't scratch in rhythm. They don't scratch the same pattern over and over. And they sure as hell don't whisper while they're doing it. Jake pressed his ear to the living room wall, and that's when he heard them, dozens of voices, maybe hundreds, all coming from inside the walls. "You weren't supposed to be here. Come home, Jake. Time to come home." The scratching got louder, more aggressive, like something with claws was trying to tear its way through the drywall. Jake ran from room to room, but it was everywhere. In every wall, under every floorboard, above every ceiling tile. He checked every timepiece in his house. Kitchen microwave, 2:37. Bedroom alarm, 2:37. His granddad's pocket watch, 2:37. Even the timer on his coffee maker was frozen at the same damn time. But then Jake noticed something that made his guts twist into knots. The seconds were moving. Barely, slower than continental drift, but moving. 2 hours 37 minutes and 1 second. 2 hours 37 minutes and 2 seconds. Each second was taking what felt like 10 minutes to pass. Jake grabbed a calculator and started doing some quick math. If each second was taking this long, and he had to get from 2:37 to 3 o'clock, he'd be stuck here for what felt like hours, maybe days. "Son of a bitch," he whispered. The shadow people outside were getting bolder. They pressed their faces against his windows, leaving no fog marks because they weren't breathing. Their black eyes reflected nothing, not the porch light, not the street lamps, nothing. Like looking into the void itself. Their whispers had changed. "Time to come home, Jake. Time to come home. The missing hour needs you. You belong with us now." Jake barricaded himself in his bedroom with his dresser and his mattress, but the scratching was everywhere now. It sounded like 1,000 insects trying to break through, accompanied by that endless whispering. 2 hours 58 minutes and 47 seconds. 2 hours 58 minutes and 48 seconds. 2 hours 58 minutes and 49 seconds. "Come on, you piece of junk." Jake screamed at his alarm clock. Just hit 3 o'clock. Just freaking hit it. But as those final seconds crawled toward 2:59, something happened that chilled him to the bone. Everything stopped. The scratching, the whispering, even the air seemed to stop moving. It was like the world was holding its breath. Jake looked out his window. The shadow people were gone. The street was empty. Even that frozen cat had vanished into thin air. 2 hours 58 minutes and 59 seconds. Yes. Come on. Almost there. Jake was crying now, tears streaming down his face as he watched that last second tick by slower than evolution. 2 hours and 59 minutes. The relief that flooded through Jake was better than his first beer after a long day's work. Almost out. Almost free. Just 60 more seconds, and this nightmare would be over. But those 60 seconds weren't like the others. They were slower. Much slower. 2 hours 59 minutes and 1 second. 2 hours 59 minutes and 2 seconds. 2 hours 59 minutes and 3 seconds. Each second now felt like an hour. And in that stretched out time, Jake began to notice things. Terrible things. At 2 hours 59 minutes and 30 seconds, Jake looked in his bathroom mirror and saw nothing staring back. At 2 hours 59 minutes and 35 seconds, his footsteps stopped making sounds on the hardwood floor. At 2 hours 59 minutes and 40 seconds, his breath stopped fogging up windows. At 2 hours 59 minutes and 45 seconds, Jake Morrison started to fade. He could see through his own hands like they were made of smoke. His reflection had vanished from every mirror, every shiny surface in the house. The missing hour wasn't just stealing time, it was stealing him. "No, no, no," Jake screamed, but no sound came out. His voice was gone, swallowed by whatever force was claiming him. 2 hours 59 minutes and 55 seconds. 2 hours 59 minutes and 56 seconds. 2 hours 59 minutes and 57 seconds. Jake was becoming transparent, fading like an old photograph left in the sun. He understood now what the shadow people had been trying to tell him. He wasn't supposed to be awake. He wasn't supposed to witness the missing hour. And now it was making him pay the price. 2 hours 59 minutes and 58 seconds. 2 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Jake Morrison opened his mouth to scream one last time, but he was already more ghost than man. The last thing he saw was his bedside clock hitting 3 hours. The last thing he felt was relief, thinking he'd made it out of hell. But Jake Morrison was wrong. The next morning, Tom Martinez found Jake's house empty. Door wide open, coffee still warm in the pot, car in the driveway. No signs of struggle, no blood, no note, just gone. The Portland police filed it as a missing persons case. Jake Morrison, age 34, disappeared sometime between 2 o'clock and 3 a.m. on March 12, 2023. Case went cold faster than last week's pizza. But that ain't the end of this story. Not by a long shot. Every year since then, when daylight saving time rolls around, people across America report the same damn thing. And what they're seeing will make you think twice about staying up late on spring forward night. They see a man in windows at exactly 2:59 a.m. Always the same time. Always the same desperate expression. He's banging on the glass from the inside, trying to mouth words that nobody can hear. His eyes are wide with terror, and he's pointing behind the witnesses, pointing at something they can't see. But here's the real kicker. Jake Morrison ain't alone anymore. Every year, a few more people join him. Insomniacs who were awake at the wrong time. Night shift workers heading home. College kids pulling all-nighters. Anyone unlucky enough to be conscious during that missing hour. They're all there, trapped in the spaces between seconds, in that hour that exists but doesn't exist. And they're all trying to warn us about the same thing. Some hours go missing for a reason. The last documented sighting was just 2 weeks ago in Minneapolis. A woman named Rebecca Chen posted a TikTok video at 2:59 a.m. during fallback night. In the background, you can see faces pressed against her neighbor's windows, dozens of them, all pointing, all trying to scream warnings that nobody can hear. The video went viral for about 6 hours before it mysteriously disappeared from every platform. Rebecca Chen was reported missing the next day. Final warning. So here's some free advice from your old pal who's telling you this story. Next time we spring forward or fall back, make sure you're sound asleep before 2 a.m. Set multiple alarms if you have to. Take some melatonin. Hell, drink yourself into a stupor if that's what it takes. Because if you find yourself awake when those clocks start jumping around, and you hear scratching in your walls, and you see people moving like they're underwater, well, let's just hope you never do. The missing hour is still out there, folks. Still collecting people who witness things they shouldn't witness. Still growing stronger every time we mess with time itself. And Jake Morrison, he's still trying to warn us, banging on windows we can't see, screaming words we can't hear. Sleep tight, America. And remember, time waits for no one. Unless you're Jake Morrison, then it waits forever. Sweet dreams, and don't let the missing hour bite.